Story 1. I work at a dog hotel that caters to wealthier clientele, and since I'm a canine caretaker, I feed, walk, train, and administer medications to the dogs. I don't interact much with people, which I am very grateful for. However, there are times when I bring a dog to clients who turn out to be entitled individuals. It's not much fun when they act stuck up and arrogant, right? Well, here's a story about the night shift yesterday at work that gets interesting. I was taking a poodle mix named Curly out for a walk when I got a call on my walkie-talkie, saying that Curly's owner was waiting to pick him up. It's the hotel's policy to take the dogs out for a break before they're returned to their owners. This entitled customer didn't get the memo, so when I passed in the hall with Curly, heading outside, she was yelling so loudly that I could hear her through 2 closed hallway doors. In the hotel, each hall is blocked by doors, so if a dog escapes one of the suite rooms, they'll still be partially contained. Anyway, Curly did his business, and we were headed to the lobby and to the customer. Her conversation was recorded on security cameras, so our exchange went like this. Customer, I want my dog. Give me my fur baby. Come here, Curly. She storms into the building, even though no one's allowed in without a mask or permission, of which she had neither. Customer, Curly, my baby boy. Receptionist, ma'am, you can't be in here. The canine caretakers bring your dogs outside to you. Customer, quiet and give me my dog. Receptionist, do you have a leash? It's hotel policy that dogs can't go out without. Customer, no, I don't have a leash. Give yours to me, referring to me. Me, I'm sorry, ma'am, but this is my leash. If you'd like a leash, I'll get you one of our spares. Customer, no, I want yours. Me, ma'am, please don't yell. I'd hate for Curly to feel anxious. Customer, then give me your leash. Me, I'm sorry, no. Customer, fine then, I'll just take my dog and go. Don't expect me to do business with you again. Gives Curly to the customer. Me realizing my mistake. Ma'am, it's the hotel's policy that we can't let dogs leave here without a leash or harness. I'd still be happy to get you a spare if you'd like. Customer, just give me my dog. I don't have time for this nonsense or for you. Fool. If you don't give me my dog, then I'll sue you for keeping him from me. This is illegal. I'll have you in court. By now, one of my coworkers was running to us with one of our spare leashes and handed it to her. She cursed at us several times but eventually left, swearing never to do business with us again. We have customers like this all the time who say they'll never come to the pet hotel again. After she left, my manager came up to me and said, "For a girl, you've got some guts. Good move." I know that might not be a work-appropriate thing to say, but I was thrilled he said that. Then, this morning, he texted me to say she came back with Curly because she had to go to the city and couldn't take him with her. All she requested was that I know what I did. Yes, I know what I did, followed hotel policy and dealt with an entitled customer I hope never to see again. I know I will have to, eventually, but today's my day off, so I'm enjoying it. Story 2. This happened 2 years ago. I was 20 and had a beautiful 4-year-old daughter whom I called Gothling. In my town, there was a nature preschool with 2 different buildings. It was in a park, but had gates so no one could enter. One building was for half-day school, and the other was for full-day school. I paid for the full-day preschool. I was dropping off my daughter at the full-day building. My daughter was excited since it was the weekly picnic in the park. Gothling, Mama, hurry! She was pulling my arm. Me, the picnic won't start until lunch. Remember, Daddy is picking you up. I had fruit cups with me, as I was asked to bring them by her teacher. I went to the full-day building and headed to the desk. Teacher, hey ma'am, did you bring the fruit cups? Me, yes, ma'am. I was signing in when a mother and her son walked in. Customer, can I switch my son to full day? Teacher, I'm sorry, but the full day program is full. However, there are openings for next month. It is $150 per month, which includes supplies and lunch. Customer, what? Next month? No, my son wants full day. Teacher, I'm sorry, but you signed him up for half day. Customer, then make me switch with her. She points at me. Teacher, she has been paying for the full day program since the first day. It wouldn't be fair to her and her daughter. Customer, so? She probably can't afford it. Me, excuse me. I can't afford it. I work and pay for it every month on time. I'm never late on payments. Now, if you'll excuse me, my daughter will enjoy her full day of school, and I'm going to work, where I make the money to afford the full day preschool. Now, have a great day. I kissed my daughter's head and hugged her as I said goodbye. Gothling. Bye, Mama. My daughter went to her class, and I went to my car. I calmed myself down and drove to work. People have some nerve sometimes. Sigh. Story 3. This isn't some outlandish story about a horrible customer resembling the devil, but more of an example of how entitled some customers act. A few years ago, I worked in e-commerce as a customer service worker. Let me preface this by saying that 99% of our customer base was wonderful, and I'd often go the extra mile if we, the company, did something wrong. Because of this, I would be quite generous and always try to find a solution, no matter how complicated or strange the inquiry was. A young woman called in and reported a pair of designer sunglasses valued at over $300 as damaged and requested a refund because they were faulty. I told her I would look into the inquiry and asked for more information, such as the order number. When I found the order, I saw it had been a year since the purchase. A pre-existing fault in a product like this is usually discovered within 6 months, but we have a policy to investigate all inquiries within 3 years of purchase. We take issues with products seriously, so we take in the product, look for defects, and report any findings to production and purchase when faulty products are reported. I informed the woman that we would gladly look into the issue, but to do so, she needed to send the glasses to us. I gave her our address for free shipping. The woman then told me that she threw the product away because it wasn't of use to her anymore. I was stunned because, at least where I'm from, this is a very unusual thing to do. Out of the 7 years I've worked in customer service, I had never heard of that happening before or since. The head of the department saw me struggling to figure out how to help this customer, so I quickly muted the call and briefed her on what happened. The head of the department burst out laughing and said we couldn't help the customer. I returned to the call and asked the woman if she possibly photographed the damage. Many customers do this before contacting us, and she said no. I informed her that, unfortunately, we couldn't help her because we needed the product returned to issue a refund. She asked if we could make an exception just for her. I replied that, unfortunately, we couldn't. She then asked if we could send her a pair of free designer sunglasses since she couldn't get a refund for the broken ones. I explained again that without proof of the product being broken, we couldn't help her with a refund or a new pair of sunglasses for free, but we would gladly assist in placing a new order. I also mentioned that most companies in our country have a policy to take back damaged products in order to issue a refund. This woman then said, "But the big Chinese online shopping platform doesn't require damaged products to be returned, they just refund." My mood went from sorry for the inconvenience to what in the world? We were talking about designer sunglasses valued between $200 and $500. I reiterated that we were sorry we couldn't help and offered to send her a pair of off-brand sunglasses in the same style as she had bought, with the same UV protection as all our sunglasses, normally priced around $30 free of charge as a goodwill gesture. To this, she replied, "I don't use ugly cheap stuff." I repeated that we couldn't help her and wished her a good day, but not before she added a snarky, "I will leave a review about this." She never left a review. I have no idea if she couldn't be bothered or if she realized the error of her ways. Story 4. Years ago, I worked at a pain clinic, and we had to call the police maybe once every 2 months for enraged patients. Back then, laws regarding opioid prescriptions were much more relaxed than they are now. We had a chain of clinics owned by one doctor. Each clinic had regular doctors, but patients were seen by nurse practitioners and physician assistants. As the doctors were usually busy performing procedures, they were called in by the nurse practitioners and physician assistants for consultation on treatment. The owner of the chain cycled through each clinic 1 day a week. On this particular day, the owner was at our clinic, and as usual, his schedule was packed with procedures, which made our world chaotic. When a nurse practitioner encounters a patient who appears to have been abusing their opioids, they can decide to decrease the dosage. If the patient becomes irate, the nurse practitioner asks for backup, which would require one or two of us to stand outside the patient's room for safety in case of an attack. Some patients had previously threatened to return with a weapon and demand their medications. One day, a patient came in, and the nurse practitioner explained she was decreasing the patient's medication to wean her off due to misuse. The patient began screaming that she wanted to see the owner. The nurse practitioner asked for backup, so I stood outside her door for safety. Inside, I could hear her screaming, "Where's the owner? He'll give me my medications." The nurse practitioner explained that the owner was in a procedure but would come in when he was done, though he would likely agree with her decision. Patient: "No, you get him in here now. I don't care where he is. He can stop and come in here now. You will give me my medications." The owner was currently in a procedure with a nearly 5-inch needle in someone's spine, in what was essentially a sterile room where patients couldn't wear street clothes, and nurses and patients alike had to wear shoe covers and industrially clean gowns and scrubs. The patient suddenly slammed open the door to her room, screaming through the clinic, "Where's the owner? I want my medications." Me trying to stop her from rampaging through the halls. "Ma'am, he's in a procedure, in a sterile room. You can't go in there." Patient: "I don't care where he is. Get him here now. He'll give me my medications." She found the back door to the procedures section of the clinic, which had a coded door handle so only employees could open it. She was wrenching and pulling on the door to get it to open, while we were explaining that he couldn't stop the procedure until it was done. Finally, she stopped, defeated, and marched back to her room to wait for the doctor alone. At this point, the nurse practitioner had requested the police be called. A fun note: this was near the end of my shift, and my then boyfriend had my car to take it to the shop for me and was picking me up after work. Protocol required that when waiting for emergency services, one person had to be posted at each entrance of the building because we never knew where they would pull in from. I was posted at the back near employee parking. I stood by the open door, where I saw my boyfriend parked in my car outside. I waved and held up a finger to say, "It'll be just a moment." The police rolled up, and my boyfriend gave me a very concerned look. I waved again, held up my finger again, and escorted the police inside through the back entrance, so waiting patients wouldn't see the police strolling through the lobby. The police detained the screaming, angry patient and escorted her off the property. She was promptly discharged from our clinic for misconduct and misuse of controlled substances. Story 5. My brother is a 21-year-old professional cyclist. When I say that, I don't mean at the level of the Tour de France, but he is slowly getting there. He currently lives with his girlfriend, and they both cycle a lot, mostly on long rides. With the recent health outbreak, he hasn't been able to cycle as much due to the United Kingdom going on lockdown. During that time, there weren't many cars on the roads, nor other cyclists or walkers on the cycle paths. However, when they decided to lift some restrictions, allowing people to drive and exercise more again, it seemed to make everyone want to go out 24/7 along with all the entitled people. Great. A few days ago, my brother went for a normal cycle. He does one every day, so it wasn't different from the rest. He also usually follows the same route, so he knows his way around the area. He was cycling around a roundabout somewhere when a silver car knocked straight into him. It made him crash and fall over. He took all the weight of the car on his shoulder and leg and, as a result, couldn't move for days after. He said that if he had fallen slightly differently, he could have died. The car pulled over, and a middle-aged man around 45 years old clambered out of the car, looking like he could hurt someone. The following conversation went like this. Entitled man: "What did you do that for?" Walking toward my brother. My brother: "That wasn't my fault. Your car hit me." He was still in shock from the crash and being alive, so he didn't really know how to answer. Entitled man: "Are you out of your mind?" Then continues to yell every insulting word and calls my brother all sorts of names, blaming it all on him. My brother: "You were the one who came up from behind and on the wrong side of the road, causing me to crash." The man continued to argue and shout at him. Then 2 foreign men pulled over as well. Thinking they were witnesses, my brother felt somewhat relieved, but he was so wrong. They threatened him, also shouted at him, and called him all sorts of things, mainly to stir the situation, probably to make him lash out or cause a bigger scene than it already was. In the end, the other men just told the man to drive off and leave my brother there, which he did. The other men did the same, and my brother's girlfriend picked him up. He was so shaken by the whole thing that he didn't catch their license plates. He didn't go to the hospital partly because he said he was okay and partly because he wasn't keen on going there during the pandemic. But he's now at his house, unable to move much. He's getting better, but he won't be able to cycle for a while. I know this isn't the greatest story, but I thought I could share it. I can't believe there are people who actually behave like those guys. By the way, my brother is now ordering a camera for his bike. Story 6. Cast. Entitled person Karen. Street performer. Backstory. A few years ago, my family and I were visiting Yorkshire on holiday. We were walking down a touristy high street type of place when we noticed a large crowd up ahead. A street performer had set himself up in the middle of a crossroads area, making him hard to miss. My family and I had just bought some lunch, so we sat down on a bench nearby and watched him while we ate. He was doing the usual street performer type of stuff, juggling and fire-eating, the kind of stuff that looks dangerous but is performed hundreds of times a day. Just as the street performer was about to do a sword swallow, Karen entered. Karen, this is so fake. I bet that sword bends or whatever. She then pushed her way to the front of the crowd until she stood right next to the street performer. Street performer, maybe it is. Would you like me to run it through your heart? And maybe then we can debate whether it's fake or not. She stared at him as if the street performer had just done something inappropriate, then said, It's people like you who are ruining society. You probably don't even have an education. Street performer, I'll have you know that I graduated from university, majoring in engineering, but I didn't really enjoy it, so I turned to performing. Karen, and does performing provide you with enough money? Smiling smugly. Street performer, yes, it does. I have a house, a wife, and a child, so I'd say I'm pretty well off. How much do you earn, if you don't mind me asking? Karen mutters something very low considering she's standing there in designer clothes. Street performer, well then, it looks like you'll be needing this. Picks up a hat that probably has about 200 pounds in it. Karen turning away, horrified. I do not need your filthy, stolen money. I get all the money I need selling essential oils. Street performer, oh yes, essential oils, the fragrance of fake and perfumed scam. I love your newest release, Eau de Pyramid Scheme. In this case, you won't be needing this. Puts hat down, I will continue to perform here and laugh as you get on a bus and go home to watch TV and drink cheap wine you've bought with your benefits. Karen went red in the face and stormed off. The crowd all cheered and applauded, and the street performer continued his performance. The funny thing was, on the bus back to the campsite, we actually saw Karen there.